All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour, the first hour. Apple today, dominating the news.
Yeah, it is, Joel. It's up 16 points this morning. They got a 9 a.m. Eastern conference call. Going to talk about their excess cash. I think they got $102 billion. They're going to say what they're going to do with it. Investors obviously thinking they're going to get some type of dividend they're hoping for. So all eyes are going to be on Apple here this morning, Joel.
Maybe they'll buy back some stock.
Well, then they actually said that was a possibility too. I think they sell the stock off if they announce a buyback. I think the investors would like a special dividend or some type of regular dividend coming out. I know there was an article saying they could give up to a $14 dividend a year, so maybe that's something what they should do too.
Holy. Well, let's get to the numbers here. The S&Ps were able to take out the high of the move last night. 14.00 was Friday's high. We got to 14.0275. Couldn't sustain that $1,400 level. If that 14.0275 holds as a high of the target of 13.89. The current low in the session is at 13.9450. That's only 50 cents below Friday's low. If that 13.9350 holds as the low of the day, we have an upside target of 13.0650. Kind of still a lot of movement, Dennis, but still trading within yesterday's range. Real good swing number today, folks. The close 13.9850 is surrounded by the pivot, so 13.98 should get a lot of traffic today. Moving on to the Big Ten, Dennis. ExxonMobil did get off the mat last. Still has not been able to get up to that 52-week high for some strange reason. That 87 level was able to capture 3 of the last 5 highs last week. Use it again until you get kicked in the teeth. Major resistance at 87. Friday's low, 85.92. I mean, it's support there, but I'd really, if we get a break under this 86 level, I'd be looking for the 2-day low at 85.25.
I think you've given a real good number there, Joel. 1, 2, 3 times now we've topped out at 86.93, 86.83, and 86.89 there on Friday. So 3 times we've topped out in the high 86s. I think there's some institutional size there at 87. These high frequency traders are leaning on, and they're coming in selling in about 10 cents down. So obviously that's where your resistance point is. It gets up to there. I'd keep doing the trade until it doesn't work anymore.
How much size is there at 87?
Well, you
can't see it, right?
Well, I see 30,000, which is something, which isn't that much, but I think there's probably more hidden too. Like a lot of institutions, they gotta hide their size now because so many high frequency traders just lean on them. So for the most part, they're hidden. But those high frequency guys, they even see the hidden stuff. They see everything, man.
Okay, moving on to Apple. They've already taken out the posted on the sheet. That's 600.01. I mean, I could tell you to use that as a swing number, but it's going to move $5 either way. In my weekly comments, I'm just looking at this 578 level, Dennis. I wish I had the guts to buy it there on Friday. You got a double bottom dead area. Long-term investors, move your stop up to there, and it's just, who knows what's going to happen here at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it could really go anywhere. The thing could rally 50 points for all we know. Like, it's just going to be probably a crazy move at 9 o'clock when they announce what they're going to do with that excess cash. The high in the pre-market to note so far is 608.37. So we are 8 points off that high that we set earlier on in the pre-market. So there's one number, one reference point for you traders. But I don't advise anybody trying to trade this off the number. It's going to be wild. 5 595.46 is the low in the pre-market, so it's had a 13-point range in the pre-market already. Obviously, if they come out and announce, regular dividend, I think it's good for the stock. If they come out and announce, that's just going to be a stock buyback, then I don't know if that's that good for the stock. So it'll be interesting to see. But, Apple's going to be your driver today, so if you're trading any tech stock, keep an eye on Apple.
Yeah, Des, just a note here. After the 4 o'clock close yesterday, I guess someone whiffed the news there. I got a low at 594.50, and then after hitting that 608 level, I did get a breakdown to 595.46. So let's just call 595 major support if you're short. Okay, moving on to another tech. The doors off that $200 level. IBM. Made a high at 207.52. The interesting thing about this stock, Dennis, is that it hit that 207.52 and then really peeled back and ended up closing on the low of the day on monster volume. Someone placed a bet there. 206 is now going to act as resistance as people are going to want to try and scratch that trade from Friday. Coming back on the downside, I got minor support at Thursday's low, 204.74. But if this thing really gets rocking and rolling with some negative Apple news, 203.64 is Wednesday's low.
Yeah, closing near the low of the day, IBM 206.01, actually closing right on the low of the day. So that wasn't overall good for the stock, but it was option expiration, triple witch. So that can have some excess volatility. So sometimes you see some funny stuff happen there. But we've had, 1, 2, 3, 4 days where we're making higher highs, higher lows. So eventually, actually, is it 5 days? I think it's 5 or 6. No, I'm looking. It's maybe even 6 days where we've had higher highs and higher lows. So the stock's been on a great run here. I'd keep an eye on Apple. That's probably going to be an indicator maybe for all your tech stocks here again. But if the stock starts making new highs, 207.52, you don't want to be short this stock.
Okay, 205.14 is what I identified as the low here in the pre-market. Moving on to Chevron Corporation, Dennis, when's the last time that stock has had a buck range or less than $1 range? Really topping out here again. This 110.93 was Thursday's high. Only got to 110.83 on Friday. High 110.99 seems to be coming into play again. You got to be playing it from the short side until they can get back and hold that 111. 110.10 Friday's low just doesn't mean a whole lot to me with that being such a tight range. I could easily see it slicing through that 110.10 level and testing Thursday's low at 109.50.
I think the key number you just gave there, though, is that 111. That was the old resistance point where we topped out quite a few times back here. I'm pointing it out on the chart. And we've topped out here. We topped out there, but we broke out 3 days ago from that 111, but failed to close above there. Joel always likes it when you close above that level. We didn't close above that level that day, and now we're kind of just consolidating here. So it's taking a breather, trying to figure out if this 111 area is going to hold as resistance or if we're going to try to break down. So we had a low there on Thursday at 109.46. Starts to take that out, then I definitely don't want to be long this stock.
Okay, Microsoft here, Dennis, is providing a very nice setup here for our traders. You actually have a triple top up in the 32.95 area, and you have a triple bottom at the 32.50 area. Interestingly, this stock did close near the lower end of that range, so you are leaning on this 32.50 level. It's been bottoming out there in the pre-market as well. I tell you, if it takes out that 32.50, Dennis, this may be signaling a little bit of a short-term top here in Mr. Softy.
Yeah, and like you pointed out on our weekly comments there, you had 3 highs up there in the 32.90 area too. So those are your 2 relevant numbers. It's 32.50 on the low end and the 32.90 to 95 area on the upper end. That's your 52-week high, 32.95. I don't want to be long this thing until it takes out the 33. From a swing trading perspective, it's had a heck of a run. I don't know what's happening with Apple yet. Maybe when Apple gives us a little more clarity, maybe we can make a more educated guess to which way Microsoft might move, because Apple's definitely been the leader off of Microsoft. But until Microsoft can make a new 52-week high and take out that whole number, $33, I'd be a seller of rallies.
Okay, General Electric here, enjoying its time over the $20 level. Got up to 2030 on Friday, the weekly high, settling at 2020. Kind of hanging out there in the pre-market. 52-week high way up there at 2085. The way this thing's been moving, it could be on the radar this week. Before it does that, though, 24 had. You can't get too excited above this $20, $30 level. Coming back on that 20 is going to be the good swing level here. That was Friday's low at 2001. And we'll see how long institutional buyers and investors are willing to support that stock at 20. Because if, in fact, it takes out that 20 level, we could, easily slide back into, the 19 handle, perhaps getting back down have near around 1966.
Yeah, the 20 number is key for this stock to hold. Held on Friday, 2001 being the low, kind of bounced off there. I'd like to see a little follow through today. I'd like to see it make a new high through that 2030. If it could do that, then I think the bulls are still in charge. But $20 needs to hold. If we start breaking down below 20, you've had quite a move. It took 2.5 days basically to go from 19 to 20, which is an enormous move for GE. So if it starts to break down, it can fill that area quite quickly because it didn't have the consolidation that it had, over the last 2.5 months in that 19 area. So really, this 19 to 20, there's a little bit of air below 20.
Okay, Procter and Gamble, after having that big move on Monday, Dennis, really stalled out. We've talked about the institutional size is 68. The HFT guys getting more and more brazen here, stepping out in the mid 67 80s and for sure in the 67 90s. I think you just have to play from the short side until that level's taken out. There's not a driver really for someone to go up there and scoop up that stock. Coming back on the downside, Friday's low 67.12. That's just above the area from quadruple top that it broke out in. So I expect HFT guys and people are just shorter term swing traders trading the 67 to 68 range until it's no longer valid. Below that 67.12 is the 5-day low at 66.73.
Yeah, Friday opened up on that triple witch day right at the high, never sniffed it again, went straight down from that. I was actually lucky enough to get short on that high. Being the scalper I am, I took my quick 15, 20 cents. I wish I would have held on a little bit longer because obviously the stock kept moving down after that. That 67, that whole 67.80 to 67.95 area is just thick. We've talked about the big seller at 68. The high frequency guys are all over that. They're leaning on that area. So continue to be a seller in the 67.80 or above range until it can take out 68.
Okay, similar situation here with J&J, 65 and a half, big area of resistance. You had Tuesdays through Fridays high, 65.38 to 46. Once again, HFT guys stepping ahead of the size, selling that stock with a limited risk. They have an out. Sold off. Keep an eye on the 64.81 to 85 level, Dennis. That's a double bottom Thursday and Friday. Keep playing that range. If it's 81 to 85 level, you still even have more support to 64. Eventually, Dennis, the stock is going to trade 63.99 or 66.01. I guarantee you.
I know. I don't know, Joel, if it's going to do it in the next
yeah,
month
it
or
is,
not.
man.
What have we been since the whole entire year? We basically traded between 64 and 66. So channeling stock.com, this is a dream stock. Buyer in the low 64s, seller in the high 65s. But we've moved the range down the last 4 days. Like Joel's pointed out, we have topped out in the 65.40 area. So call that whole area your first resistance point. It gets up in the 65.40s. It's met with sellers. If for whatever reason you could get into rally mode and start rallying at 66 is enormous on this.
I mean, if the getting a new CEO and Warren getting out of the stock can't move it, I mean, I don't know what can. But anyways, moving on our last component, Dennis, Pfizer here, starting to look a little bit tired. $22 level. Looks like we're failing here, Dennis. 22.10 double top Wednesday and Friday. High of the move 17 just doesn't have the mo to get up there. You're getting a little consolidation here, a couple tops in this area, and perhaps we've kind of topped out at the end of the range here, and we're going to major support at 21 over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Joel, this whole 2210 area has been like a rock, and obviously the high being 2210 right on the button there on Friday. So that's going to continue to give you resistance. Starting to see some size even form the whole 22 area. This area is big. It needs to take out the 2210 for you to really be bullish this stock. If it was to make a new high, start going 2215, 2220, then I'd be a buyer of pullbacks. But right now I'm a seller of rallies.
Okay, S&P's just kind of hanging out here above Friday's low. The whole world waiting on the news of Apple. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with our market movers.